Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I am Nerdarchist Ted. This is episode 14 of Untraditionally Arcane. Before we get into things, the rest of this game happens to have been done over on the Nerdarchy Live channel. If you're happen to seeing this one as the first episode, welcome. Glad to have you on board. If you want to check out all the previous episodes, there is not only a playlist on this channel, but there is also one over on the Nerdarchy Live, so you can go check out either, get caught up, do all that fun stuff. So what this is, we have a party of all wizards, and it's untraditionally arcane. So none of them are the typical 8 subclasses of wizard. They're all something, shall we say, untraditional, and they are trying to figure out what has broken, what has gone awry with magic. They're looking for the 8 arcane vessels, each linked to the primary schools of magic, and they're trying to see what's wrong with them, what's blocking their power, and, well, in essence, fix it. Right now, these wonderful characters have explored deep into the reaches of the Feywild, looking for the arcane vessel of illusion, the heart of the Pale Wood. So this game is sponsored by Easy Roller Dice. Whether it's your first set of dice or your 1 million set of dice, Easy Roller Dice for all your dice rolling needs. Down in the description, you're going to be able to find a coupon code, as well as a link to Easy Roller Dice, as well as a link to their previous Kickstarter, so you can go, become a late backer, go shop on their website, use that promo code. Not only that, but right now, Easy Roller Dice actually sent us a big old box. I'm going to pull it up here of cool stuff that we're going to ship out to one lucky winner. It's got a dice cup. It's got a set of regular dice. It's got a set of metal dice. There's a couple more cool things in here, a dice tray, a dice storage thing. If you sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, link should be, over on, the website or whatnot. You can get access to this, but you got to do it because we're going to be drawing a name during the Monday live chat. So go check that out. Go get on that. Without further ado, let's allow the players to introduce themselves. Down in the description, you're going to find also a link to where you can follow all of these wonderful people over on the internet. And I always throw it to the wonderful producer, Jake.
Hey, internets, it's Jake from Any Terrain Domain, and that's where you can usually find me when I'm not here. I run the Twitch channel and the YouTube channel of that name, Any Terrain Domain, where we stream a couple of regular D&D campaigns on Monday night, Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries, with an excellent crew of adventurers there. And on Thursday nights, you can catch Ted along with the rest of the Dawnbringers in our Season 6 going on. Oh man, I think this year, at the end of this year, we'll be at 4 years playing this game. Dawnbringers, Season 6, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, also in the Feywild. So,
Indeed.
Little similarity there. And I'm playing Ordo Wonderbeard, the Beautomancer.
And always just, toss it to whoever you want to.
And I will toss it over to Carlos.
What is good, internet? My name is Carlos Rivera, and I run the Volcanic Knight YouTube channel. Pleasure to be here with such great people. And for your dancing pleasure, I am playing Phlox Findfeather, the Order of the Peacock Nerdarchy subclass. And with that, I will pass it over to Fraginator.
Hello, I am Fraginator, and I don't know what's going on today because I actually rolled some dice well. So things are going to be either really good or really bad. I'm playing Avtok Treebender, and I'm a Loxodon Order of Scribes Wizard with just a little bit of divination. Let's go, Robin.
Hey, hello. I am Robin Miller. I write novels. There are links in the description below. If you've been enjoying the most recent Magic the Gathering set, The Streets of New Capenna, you might also like my book Torchlighters, which is pretty much literally the exact same setting, and I'm really excited about it because I really like that aesthetic. I will be playing Chessaline, the Drow Bladesinger, and I believe Asa is the last to go.
That is correct. I am Asa with Roll for Mischief. We stream Dungeons and Dragons on Tuesdays at noon Pacific time. And actually, it's like we also stream at 8 in the UK, which, if you don't know your time zones, it line up the exact same time because half my players are from the UK. And I play Joshua, who is the resident, constantly terrified Winnie the Pooh tiefling who is an onomancer and is quite awful at getting people's names from them willingly. That's all. That's all I got.
So a brief summary. You guys, long time ago, were called to the Wizard Council of Gul Talath, the Eight of Eights, tasked with seeking out these 8 arcane vessels to try and figure out what is going on. You've been to 3 of these places. You've been to the Seeing Shrine, the Arcane Vessel of Divination, the Summoning Sigil, the Arcane Vessel of Conjuration, and the Gravane Graveyard, the Arcane Vessel of Necromancy. You're now on the borderlands of the real world and the Feywild, seeking the heart of the Pale Wood. You came in here last session and encountered some purple goblin with wings and gold markings all over his skin, and encountered, whether you knew it or not, things that your characters either became or were already afraid of. You seemed to battle sight and sound, not knowing what was real and what was not, before the creature finally said, it's mine, they're mine, and fled off, heading deeper and deeper into the Feywild. Ironically, or by chance, or by choice, I should say, in the direction that you guys believe you should be heading. You've been traveling for a while. You in fact are not quite sure how long you've been walking. And I kind of, gave you guys some options. Who would like to tell me how long they've been walking and what you've seen? Leave Robin, raise your hand first.
I really did. Okay. So within the first day, at least, we encountered a gingerbread house, like with the frosting, and like a flower bed full of lollipops, and a fence that looked like it was made of some very nice chocolate cake.
Now, did you go in, have a conversation? Did you quickly scurry away? What was the reaction?
Oh, I thought this looked incredibly suspicious and urged us onward because you don't eat food in the Feywild, no matter how delicious it looks.
So as you
What?
quickly
You don't eat.
Gordo.
as you quickly scurry away, you hear the distinct sound, maybe not of wood on wood, but maybe cookie on cookie, as a window slides open, and you just see a pair of eyes watching as all of your legs scamper away. Who's next?
If that had been a house made of wine, I don't think I would have been able to resist. That was just, I wasn't going to do the next
Sure,
one.
sure.
I got nothing.
So,
Carlos?
yeah. So, as we're walking for Phlox, it feels like days have passed by, not hours.
Sure.
And as I go deeper into the woods, I hear the sound of bagpipes. And I asked the team, hey, what's going on? They say, well, check that out real fast. I don't go too far from the group because
Mhm.
it's dumb. But after a quick investigation, I see a dragonborn,
Okay.
a copper dragonborn, playing bagpipes in the out in the forest. And
Is it in a clearing? Is it by itself?
it's in a clearing. Yes, I was trying to find the words, but thank you.
Is it a like upbeat and moving melody? Is it something that's like haunting and eerie?
It's a bit of an upbeat metal, nothing that sounds threatening.
Sure.
When we investigate to see what's going on, immediately the dragonborn turns into skeletal. It just looks like a dead, grotesque creature.
You now have my attention.
So does the scale seem to like fall off, or does it like turn its head and it's just at that moment it's just like a like a light switch, it goes right from one to the other.
So, as Dragonborn's playing his bagpipes, he does kind of like a quick turn, and as he's turning, scales from left to right start slowly peeling off, and then immediately we're just left with a skeletal dragon form with black ooze pouring out.
Does it continue playing or does it stop and look at you?
The tune goes from not so friendly to a more melancholy sound. A more threatening feeling falls upon us.
All right, make a wisdom
Okay.
save roll for me.
Damn it.
Everybody or just Fox?
Yeah,
I
that was my
should've just-
question.
Should have kept my mouth shut.
Just Flux.
8.
8. All right, you feel compelled to come forward, and you walk forward, and this creature's eyes seem to alight as he gets within 10 feet. What do the rest of you do?
I mean, like, I was going to applaud for the skeletal musician, but this does not seem appropriate anymore.
Not with that attitude. Do we see it as skeletal too, or is that just a
Oh
flux?
yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
You all see this. You're probably about 35, 40 feet away. You see this skeletal creature, and like it had reached out towards Phlox, and one skeletal hand just kind of like crooks a finger, and without missing a beat, Phlox just begins to walk forward. He's about 10 feet away. Does anybody do anything?
My beard is going to start sending tendrils out to sort of pull and tug at Flock's sleeves and arms while I'm saying, no. You have to understand, Phlox. Cheslin already has all things necromantic taken care of.
See. But the melody is so compelling. It's beautiful.
Lovely. Good show, old fellow.
The skeletal creature in the clearing turns away from Phlox, and like they're not looking directly at any of you. And as much as a skeletal creature with no muscles, the slight crook of the head, you get the idea that it's questioning something, and you all just kind of hear this very bizarre voice, almost as if a dragonborn was standing there and it was struggling to find voice, like its throat was raspy and sore, and it only gets out 2 words: who's Jesseline?
Oh. Oh.
One of my beard, a strand of beard, a braid of beard just goes up and to my own mouth just does this.
I love you, Jake. Do any of you answer?
Traveling with Joshua long enough, I should know better than to just throw people's names around.
So you feel a weight just kind of press down upon your shoulders as this thing turns its gaze to each of you one by one. As it does so, go ahead and give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, I'm off to a good start. That would be a 10.
14.
Got a 2. Followed by a 1 for 21.
Well, my rolls are back. I only got a 10.
All right. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Not only were you first to actually answer, Josh, but you actually failed the saving throw. It gazed fall on you, and while Joshua's pretty tall, right? You're a large fellow.
Yeah.
This thing is, I mean, as best you could recollect, this thing was not quite your height, maybe 5'10", 5'11", with you being a little over 6 foot. But as its gaze falls upon you, you're looking up at it. It's at least 8 feet tall. Its bagpipes, massive, just kind of being held with one hand, and its skull. Does the bones change color? Did the eyes change color? Both? You're not quite certain, but you feel this weight push down upon you. You feel your feet sinking into the ground. And the question is asked yet again, who's Chessaline? It comes out not as a rasp, but it comes out as a command. And you who have studied compulsion and controlling others by their names feel bothered as you feel compelled to actually answer the question.
I'll look up at this towering skeletal creature and say, well, Chessaline is one of my traveling companions here, but you're going to have very little luck actually controlling her. That's not a real name. I, on the other hand, am Joshua. And what is your name?
I was gonna say Avtok was mid-step to step forward and say, I am Chessaline. But when he said her, I just put my head down and go, well, that's not gonna work.
Oh my God, are we gonna do I am Spartacus?
We are Chessaline. Can I use my bonus action to extract name? I just asked it its name.
You are in the middle of a charm, so
Okay. All right. So I am viewing it as friendly and therefore would not think to try to draw its name from it.
correct.
That's why I'm introducing myself. We're friends now, aren't we?
When you said her, it sweeps across the lot of you and locks gaze upon the drow.
And I look back, just kind of cocking my head to one side.
Now, to the rest of you, it did not change in appearance. Only through Joshua's eyes did it seem to grow and potentially morph colors. The rest of you, it's still what it was, just, the scales are gone, it's just bone, and the eyes are indeed, lit within the sockets of its draconic skull. But it just turns and focuses its attention towards you, Jess.
Did you require something?
It doesn't come across as its voice, but you almost feel like you hear from a different perspective, Ordo say that Chessaline has everything necromantic taken care of.
I am going to call the tiefling ghost that is my kind of possession, that's like kind of possessing me, to like shroud around me and sort of like obfuscate me a little bit. Like, not, I know that it's not going to actually do an obfuscation, but like she has a name too, and maybe I can get us confused a little bit.
Well, Joshua said her, and by all accounts, you appear to be the only her in the party.
Yeah, but so is my tiefling.
And seeing that, Avtok would bring forth his manifestation as well, who is a female Githzerai.
I could also summon forth Willow Brambleberry, my spirit, who is a female gnome.
So Phlox, you might not have known this about your allies, but you see this kind of overlayment of another presence within each of them. It's slightly spectral. It appears that you can kind of see through and see to who you know them to be, but there now seems to be another presence occupying the same space. And it would be what they previously mentioned.
So I guess Fox is gonna say, "Hey, listen, I'm progressive as well. How you identify is really good, man. I'm proud of you."
So it looks back and forth between the three of you that have this kind of spectral form, and it doesn't really move. You don't see it kind of pushing against any of you any longer. But you get this idea of someone needs to carry the tune. Comes across in a smattering of voices, almost like the way a Kenku would do, as like it stole this word or this part of a word to assemble it.
Yeah, I'll sing.
Could I help her out and give her like a background, kind of like a background, singing thing?
So you hear a song, a melody begin to appear in your head. Go ahead and give me a performance check with advantage, since Phlox is helping you.
Yeah, it was 14 both rolls.
So you feel like the notes are coming on a little too fast, and it's either you're having a bad day or it is beyond your scope at this moment. And you watch as the creature, the shoulders and chest seem to move as if this undead creature is giving a sigh. And then
I suppose it wasn't me.
And then you watch as the whole thing just like fades away, as if it all like turned to dust and is scattered in the wind. And then you guys are standing in the clearing.
What was that?
I am unsure.
Maybe we should stop talking to things here. Just as a general rule,
It's
Ordo's beard had the right idea.
the rules are fairly simple. No names, don't apologize, don't thank them, and don't eat anything. And don't make promises. There are a lot of rules. Maybe we shouldn't talk.
I don't think those rules are clear at all. Joshua's been trying to like scribble them down. Are there more? Tell me more of these Fey rules as we walk through here. I want to make sure I don't misstep.
Okay, well, don't accept a gift if it's offered to you. Be extremely polite if you have to say anything. It's been a really long time since I've been in the glade. This is not a thing that I've had to talk about in quite some time.
We can discuss it in detail, as we travel.
Don't run from anything immortal. It attracts their attention. And she's just like talking as you walk, and you get the feeling that some of these things are just things she's heard and not actual rules.
At a certain point, you just start making them up.
I was going to
Don't wear just a left shoe.
Anyone else wish to let me know what happened upon this journey?
I got something.
All right, we got Asa.
So as we like travel into a more heavily wooded area, we sort of like can feel it in the ground before we hear it, but there's just this heavy thudding sound in very sporadic rhythms. And as we get deeper and deeper, we hear like high-pitched chattering like voices. Almost, they're not singing, they're like clearly bickering voices. And as we get closer and closer to sort of like not really a clearing, but enough space for there to be 3 short figures with big spiky metal boots and long red hats. They are dancing around and like stomping their spiky feet and occasionally like bickering down at the ground where there are a couple of essentially just heads sticking out of the ground, very clearly like mortals or humans or whatever, not from the Feywild, being sort of tormented by these little red-capped men.
Wow.
These ones definitely look okay to talk to.
So as you notice this, Joshua, what do you do?
I promptly like avert the eyes and just I don't even make a sound and kind of just try to keep walking past the situation.
So you notice that, like, not only are the boots like spiked on the top and the sides, but as they stomp on the ground, they're leaving little tiny divots from the smaller spikes. And you watch, as the people whimper and cry and like move their head what little they can. And Joshua does this. Guys, keep walking.
Old heartless bastard.
It could be an illusion. We don't know what's going on, and we just chose to not interact. I'm gonna stick with that.
You don't know. I mean, you are not sure what is real and what is not real. So anyone else wish to put something into this scene?
Oh, go ahead if you got one.
I got one. Somewhere as we're walking along, either through the woods or near a wooded area, we encounter a place where
you guys are in deep forest, so there's plenty of around.
So we encounter this period where there seems to be a lot of dragonfly activity. Maybe there's a little bit of a pond or something nearby, a spring, but there's an inordinate number of dragonflies that seem to be flitting to and fro from these brightly colored mushrooms that are growing on the sides of trees from the ground level all the way up to several feet in the air. And upon closer inspection, the dragonflies are a form of transport that are ferrying people back and forth between these different trees, there are very tiny little people that live in these mushrooms and on these mushrooms, and little literal fairy doors where a mushroom is growing against a tree, and they can just go in and out, and they just flitting back and forth as we are passing by a diminutive village.
Very awesome. Do any of you stay and watch, or do you just, quickly, I don't want to mess anything up, given, that they're smaller than any of your toes, very easily hurt.
Oh, I definitely don't want to risk it. Like, the temptation is there, but
Yeah, I feel like my big-bodied, undextrous self would definitely be bull in a china shop.
I
I hope we're moving.
I'm gonna roll like Robin does and see if Ordo would.
A bonobo die.
Nobo check.
All right, let me find out, because I have kind of an idea for just a little thing. Oh, that's a 2. Ordo's getting involved.
All right.
I just imagine that somewhere within these mushroom villages, there's a place where 2 mushrooms on the same tree are relatively close together, and these little fairies are trying to put the finishing touches on sort of like a rope bridge, but it keeps falling apart. And then the dragonfly comes in like a crane, and they sort of try lifting it up, and it just doesn't seem to be working right. And I will.
Yeah, you're invoking Fraggle Rock way too much right now.
Weirdly, I've never seen Fraggle Rock. I know what it is, but I've never seen it. I move in close, and when they get it to where the dragonfly sort of holds the piece of bridge in place, I let some of my tendrils of beard, just a few strands, kind of weave along the edges of this little bridge and interweave between the planks, and then just producing a pair of tiny, almost like manicure scissors, I just snip, and help them secure their beard, or attempt to anyway. Their bridge.
Secure their beard or their bridge?
Well, it'll be the beard bridge.
So you watch as your hair is kind of knit and braid within, their itty bitty little, vines and ropes that they've got, and through just your little bit of work, you made this thing possible. So now, there's this little thing, this little bridge, until some critter winds up walking through these 2 trees, not seeing this itty bitty teeny tiny bridge.
As soon as I'm done helping them with it, given what you just said, I just sort of stand in front of this area as Avtok passes by.
So as the rest of the group pass by, go ahead and make a perception check.
Just all the rest of us, or
just him? Just Ordo.
Perception. My perception is a +2, so that'll be a 16.
16. All right. So you see it almost as it comes, but one of these dragonflies is carrying these little itty bitty, and they're flying at like your chest, your face. You're not quite sure, but it's not like speeding. You don't get the idea of aggression, and you have to like really focus. And because you're a barber, because you spend so much time looking at individual strands of hair, you're able to focus far better than a lot of others. But this itty bitty, teeny tiny person has their hand outstretched, and inside that itty little hand is an itty bitty little thing, and it's offering it to you. It says something, but its voice is so small you can't hear it.
I look, make sure that Jess isn't watching what I'm doing after she's warned us. And I will hold my hand out to accept whatever this little tiny person is offering.
It puts, something, small and brightly colored, reds, pinks, and purples. It's the size of a crumb into your hand. It gives a nod. Again, it says something, but its voice is far too diminutive for you to actually be able to perceive it before it kind of coaxes the butterfly or dragonfly away, and it goes back to goes back to its mushroom.
I will take one of my little beard containers from within my beard and use one of my single beard hairs to carefully pick up this tiny whatever and put it inside one of these beard cylinders until I can get a hold of a magnifying glass so I can see what I've been given. I checked my inventory. I do not have one.
You do not have one. What? Another cylinder?
No, magnifying glass.
Oh, okay.
Not a usually in the barber kit.
Sure. So, like, write down, your little fey crumb. We'll go from there. The rest of you kind of like walk on by as Ordo started doing something weird and awkward, blocking the path between these two trees, and a moment or so later he winds up catching up. So Frag, what does Avtok notice?
That's the thing, is he really doesn't. But over this day or days or however long this ends up being, I didn't really catch much of Chesseline's. The reason I didn't see Joshua's little doodadders, the reason I passed the saving throw with Phlox, just something out of the corner of my eye just kept grabbing my attention. And every time I looked, I couldn't see it. But I imagine a few times I would trip because of bootlaces tied together, or when I tried to put on a backpack, it would fall off because the buckle was undone or done too tight and I couldn't get it on. A couple times my pants fell down because my belt was missing. Stuff like that. Not sure why, but.
So I
Sounds
imagine
like something likes you.
I didn't want to take into anybody else's character, like messing with them, but
like saying their name to a fae.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
So who has the best survival here in the party?
It's probably me. I have a +4 and advantage if I can smell it.
Survival?
Yes.
Mine is +3.
+4.
Oh, we tie. Wow, nice.
So as you kind of look around after this has happened a number of times, you do see small footprints, probably a little bit smaller than Esperanza's feet, but thereabouts.
But clearly bigger than the last place we were at.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I didn't have to go back and demolish that place.
Well, but I mean, this was happening, as you said, prior to discovering this and then after. So it's been an ongoing. But
Avtok's smart, but not super wise. So I don't know if he would have thought of that before acting on it.
Sure. So either Avtok and Ordo, go ahead and roll a survival check, or one of you can roll with advantage.
I want to see what happens. Have talk roll with advantage.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
I'm
'Cause
trusting in
I
Frag's
got my
dice.
modifier. 23.
Now, was that with advantage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would have been an 8.
Hey, but you rolled a 19 on the die. That's pretty nice.
You are nothing if not consistent.
So you guys have been traveling for a while, and sometimes out at sea, sailors lose track of how many days it's actually been. And using your best guess, Avtok, you guys have been walking for 12 days. You've stopped, but like it's happened so many times, and the scenery, while vibrant and gorgeous, has been rather unchanging in it. So your best guess is that since the purple goblin-y thing fled, you've been walking for 12 days to get to your goal.
All right.
And it comes to you just as scenery, in fact, does change. The trees begin to get sparser and something looming in the distance. And it's trees unlike anything you've ever seen before. Massive. The leaves are like patterned. They're not just random swirls. They're not little pine needles, but it is leaves where everything seems to be made to be something. It could be, geometric designs. It could be silhouettes of, individual people. You're not quite sure who specifically that is, but you get the idea just upon looking that it is indeed, this silhouette is different from that one. And that means something. The curve of the leaf means something. And you are at a place that there is something special, meaningful at this point. And as trees spaced perfectly apart, inside is an even larger tree. And this tree that a lot of you could kind of join hands, you would not be able to circle around the trunk of this tree. About 10 feet up, there is a chasm, but it doesn't look like a wound within the tree. It looks almost as if it is supposed to be there. And within this chasm that's feet across, bear what looks like tree roots, no bark whatsoever, is growing out of the sides, and it forms this massive knot that is big enough that you could kind of grab your hands and like wrap around, as it's as wide as some of your torsos. What do you guys do?
You gotta go in, right?
I think you're right about that.
It definitely couldn't be dangerous. Nothing with a trunk is dangerous.
Nothing at all.
Oh, it's almost definitely dangerous, but I also feel like this is what we're looking for.
We've decided it's time to interact. Maybe this is not a trick.
So what do you do?
We go in.
Who's first?
Probably me, unless someone else has a compelling reason they should do it.
I imagine we both try to walk through at the same time.
Well, there is space between, a circular ring of trees Yes, I said circular and ring, completely not needed to do both.
I would never have noticed that if you hadn't pointed it out.
You're just clarifying how round this object is.
Very
Yes,
spherical.
it's a round,
Again,
round thing.
Oblong ring.
At least it wasn't a circular square thing. That would have gotten really messy.
Mm. Yep, yep.
Luckily, we're not in the beard dimension. Or no, it wasn't beard. What was that weird one?
Chaos waste.
That one. Yeah, that place
This
was.
one's pretty weird too.
Well, I mean, you guys went from chaos to illusions. I mean, you guys will be back to normalcy soon.
So far, this is Abtalk's most favorite of his least favorite places.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Avtok manages to, step first. You might be a step behind Chess, but Avtok crosses the threshold into this clearing first. As you do so, Avtok,
Definitely not going to bite me.
my laptop is saying it's plugged in, but I'm losing power. I don't know. But we should be able to survive. I'll investigate after. But as you step in, Avtok, your vision blurs just a bit, and the clearing doesn't necessarily change shape or size, but you see 8 of these massive trees with these cavernous openings with this knotted root work. Not 1, 8. Do you stop? Do you continue forward? What do you do?
Can I smell if there's only one real one? Someday I'm going to get to use my advantage for smelling.
You have absolutely already gotten to use your advantage for smelling.
I think it was my advantage for smelling something I see.
Yes.
Well, we were in the chaos waste. You're right. I forgot about that.
So
Your ability to smell does not help you in this particular moment.
All
I
right,
could hand you one end of a rope if you would like and hold the other and stand here.
Sure. I will do that and walk towards the most left one to my current position.
Semper Lateralis.
Roll a d8.
I don't have one of them.
You don't have a d8 ready?
Well, I mean, not ready, no. 1.
So you walk, and your companions kind of wait by the edge, and as you kind of like step near the tree, what do you reach out? What do you do?
I will try to touch the trunk with my trunk.
The trunk goes through the trunk.
Damn. I will walk towards the next most left one to me.
Roll that d8.
8.
All right. Now we get into some fun.
Ruh-roh.
You feel you feel the actual bark of this trunk as you reach out and touch it. You are pushed back as a wave of energy washes over you. Go ahead and I'll allow you to choose. You can make an intelligence or a wisdom saving throw.
I'm definitely going to go intelligence.
Okay.
I think I'm going to use my first portent and use a 10 to get a 17.
All right.
I'm scared of my dice right now.
Sure. So you're going to take 3 points of radiant damage.
All right.
Roll a d6 for me.
5.
roll a d12.
5.
You
Liquefy. No.
you find yourself in a tavern.
Nice. Hey, Joshua.
You've got, appears to be several like empty tankards next to you, and you're looking over at this woman as if this person is some kind of prospect. You're, slightly inebriated. You're not quite sure what is going on. And like the words begin to flow out of your mouth. And it's as if you are completely blessed by the gods of Glib. Everything you say just comes across complete and utterly perfect. And you don't remember exactly what you say or what she says to you, but like you have this overall sensation of perfection before like your senses come to, and you're standing on the ground. You're not standing. You're like on the ground, like literally on your butt, leaning against the trees, a couple feet away from your companions. You're not. The rest of you see when Avtok goes into the clearing, he starts wandering towards the middle. He reaches out with his trunk and touches nothing before he reorients himself towards the middle. And as he reach out and touches the trunk, you watch as this like wave of energy comes across and pushes him back 30 feet, have him, land on his butt at the tree, a couple feet away from you guys.
Avtok, are you okay? What happened?
I don't know.
We could get hit pretty hard, man.
I was in a tavern.
A tavern?
Yeah, with drinks. And a lady.
I think the
Try it. Go touch that tree.
I think the bite is worse than the bark because
I'm going to leave that one alone.
Oof.
Need to get to the root of the problem.
Would you stop this, please?
Sorry, I've had a few too many.
Where did you said touch tree? There is bar?
Second one. Go touch the second tree.
I think we should make like a tree and leave.
Well, I'm feeling a bit parched, so I'm going to go touch this tree.
I knew you couldn't resist.
I didn't even have to roll a bonobo. I just chose to do this dumb thing.
All right, go ahead and roll a d8 for me.
All right. I do have one of those. Except I can't grab it because it's tiny.
See? Oh,
Why did I think tiny dice were a good idea? That's a
my wife
6.
thought that too.
So you scamper through one or two trees
Way too cheerfully.
before you eventually, find purchase on this the real thing. You touch the bark of this tree, and you too can make an intelligence or a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, do I want to succeed at this or fail?
That's up to you.
What's funnier?
I think I succeeded and it was still funny. So
All right, I'll go for an intelligence. That is a 16.
All right. Go ahead and roll a d6.
Boop. That is a 2.
It's a 2. Roll a d8.
Jeez. That's a 4.
All right. I should have numbered these. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see a scene as a wood elven woman marches around like a puppet. You can see clearly the strain on her face as she seems to be fighting to just either stop or control her own movement. A high elf wearing a yellow sash looks on with dispassion, clearly directing her movements before the vision fades. You're going to take 5 points of radiant damage, and you two are flung away from the tree.
I will get up, just very indignant, dust the dirt off of me, kind of look at my filthy hands and shudder, and then look at Avtok and say, "There was no tavern, no booze, just some elves playing a puppet game."
Clearly, you touched the wrong tree.
It was the same one you told me to touch.
So clearly, that one is a hallucination tree. Have any of these not been touched?
I thought mushrooms were hallucination trees.
I hate that made sense.
I might be often inebriated and a little bit dehydrated at the moment, but Chess, you should know by now, I'm a very intelligent fellow.
Ordo is wondering now if the entire mushroom village he saw was actually existent.
Oh gosh.
So have any of these not been touched?
Are we just going to touch all the trees?
Well, when you watch step into the clearing, they're seeing multiple trees. You guys see them wandering around until they eventually find their way towards the center. From your perspective, they touch the only tree that's there. And
Oh.
then
So not all of us see the trees.
only when you step into the clearing does it appear that there are multiple trees.
Okay. Am I in the clearing?
Right now, all of you are at the barrier. So far, only Avtok and Joshua have stepped into the clearing.
Okay, I'm looking into the clearing. I want to see the trees.
All right, so you see the 8 different trees. Your companions on the outskirts. Do you wish to try and head towards the center?
Yes.
Right. Roll a d8.
Question.
If you touch a tree, you get thrown to the center anyway. So.
Yeah.
No, you get thrown out.
Oh, I misheard that.
You're thrown backwards.
Ah.
All right. So the second tree you touch winds up actually being, solid as you put your hand through the first one. But as you touch this tree, you feel this wave come on. Go ahead and give me an intelligence or a wisdom saving throw, your choice.
$16.
All right, go ahead and roll a d6 for me.
6.
6. All right, roll a d12.
I feel like we're going to be here for 3 more sessions just trying random shit.
Again.
So you find yourself looking down. Master Raelith has a corpse of... This can't be right. Is that your brother? As he's slowly going through a dissection, telling you what is the most useful things, what should be harvested before its animation, because it can be used for some more powerful necromantic ritual, shall we say. He guides you over to a section, places the scalpel in your hand, places his hands upon your shoulder, directing you how to slice, how to not damage the ever so crucial organs that need to be harvested. Certainly not the examination that you remember, but did this happen? It seems completely real. You take 3 points of radiant damage as you too are expelled from the tree and blasted to the edge of the clearing.
F this place, F this tree, F this magic.
I have a question about everything. So at this point in time, Phlox has been completely outside watching everyone go into this field.
Mm-hmm.
Am I able to see everyone's attempts at how far they truly come to the center, or do I just see them walking around and get hit?
From the outside, everyone who's kind of watching, with each attempt, they wander. They think they're walking in a straight line, but they are in fact veering around based on how many wrong trees that they're touching. But they do make contact with the center tree before you watch as this wave of energy hits that pushes them back and leaves them reeling with some, bizarre memory or false memory or something.
I'll go into this field. I don't know if I'm doing anything smart, but trial and error.
Sure. So roll a d8.
7.
All right. So you manage to, by sheer luck or by happenstance, or maybe, you just completely focused in. You walk from everyone else's perspective, a straight line, and put your hand straight on the tree. Go ahead and give me an intelligence or a wisdom saving throw. Your choice.
I want to actually pass this, so intelligence.
Okay.
16.
All right. Go ahead and roll a d6 for me.
Yes, sir. That's going to be a 1.
Be a 1. Go ahead and roll a d8.
Alrighty. That's going to be another 7.
7. You look down. You can see a half elf wearing, the only thing that stands out is a black belt, who smiles and plays nicely with the other elven children. Several adults looking on, maybe they're the parents, with absolute amusement. The smiles on their parents' faces seem almost as big as the children, as the kids play a typical elven game of tossing stones and testing agility. The one elven father calls out what starts to be a name, but only gets an R out before his voice is cut off as an entirely black arrow pierces his throat. The one boy comes running. He cries out in Elven, Adar, Adar, which those of you who speak Elven know that's father. They stand in shock as they watch the boy holding his father's head, bleeding out before the vision fades.
How much radiant damage should I take?
8.
Oh Lord.
Much Freudian damage. That was really good. You can have one of my inspiration points.
Hey, Joshua, I have an idea.
Is it Freudian?
No.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm potentially interested.
I'm going to face the tree and close my eyes. tie you to the back of me, facing backwards, and watch the entrance the whole time. And I'm just gonna walk straight. And if I veer, you tell me which way to go, and I'll go the opposite way.
I am a very good navigator. I think we can make this work.
This definitely isn't gonna backfire.
Yeah, you can lift me.
I was about to go walking in to follow everybody else, but I kind of want to see what's going to happen here.
We need you to tie the knot, Ordo.
Oh, no.
You're quite good with that.
As long as you use rope and not hair.
Ideally, yes. You have the extra hands.
I've only got the 2. I can use them to tie a wonderful knot. With rope.
This is why we call you Wonder Knot.
Yes, that's what. Wait.
What?
We do not call him that.
I don't know what you're talking
As I
about.
carefully tie a very secure knot.
You would lean in them by that once.
All right, so Avtok is walking in while being tied to with Joshua outside the thing.
Well, he's like tied to my back.
They're tied together.
Oh, geez.
So he's looking backwards, and I'm walking forwards with my eyes closed, and he's gonna navigate, but I'm gonna do the opposite since he's looking the wrong way.
Mhm.
It's definitely
right.
not complicated.
Truly, you have a dizzying
All right.
intellect.
All right. Wait till I get going. Come on, there's only one response to that. I mean,
That was perfect.
you can't quote one of my favorite movies without me instantly knowing.
Oh my gosh. So, can I tell a quick anecdote about that movie?
Sure.
I had a friend go to meet some new friends, and she was explaining how Princess Bride is her favorite movie to like this guy that went there to meet. And after she was done, he's like, "Oh, that movie sounds stupid," and she goes, "I'd like to go now." And I think that's the only response if that's something that someone around you says, because you don't need that kind of toxicity in your life.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hold up well because, Buttercup is, the typical useless, female, which doesn't hold up in today's society. But, at the story was originally written, that was the norm.
When the story was originally written, it was written as a pastiche of like those tropes to begin with. That they were going for that. That was the point.
And it is by far one of the best fencing scenes in any movie to date. So,
Oh yeah.
but this is not a narration of Princess Bride.
No,
So
you gotta pay for the Patreon for that.
so I'm gonna have you roll a D4 instead of a D8 there, Frag.
All right. 1.
1. All right, so you still don't have this completely bugs worked out, but you managed to push through, and you go through 2. You don't know it, but for the viewers at home, if Avtok's eyes were open, he touches 2 wrong trees before he lands on the center.
I imagine I don't even touch him. I just walk through them.
Exactly. So when you make contact with this tree, go ahead and make your intelligence or wisdom saving throw.
With my +7, that's an 8.
Nice.
How much damage am I gonna take from being landed on by Avtok?
So I need both of you.
It's your fault for not navigating properly.
I told you my left, and you started to go your left. I had this on. Look, I'll go. I'll explain it in backwards rules if that's what you want.
All right. So I need each of you to roll a d6.
All right. 1.
3.
So 1.
All right. So both of you, I need you to roll a d8.
Oh, not all of us. Sorry.
2.
Nice.
Who?
You both rolled a 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Where is the right number? All right, so Avtok, you see a scene of a fairly young half-orc with an old stern human behind him. The half-orc wears breeches of red. The facial features clearly remind you of someone you know. You're not sure who, though. A dozen men, armed and armored, are approaching, weapons raised and anger on their faces. The half-orc looks to the human, who shrugs and says, "You know what to do." The half-orc has a look of like fear on its face and sees the men getting closer, almost in range to swing. He begins a quick incantation, fixing his gaze upon the middle of the men. A small bead of fire launches out of his hands. It grows as the men grow even closer. Just as the closest men are about to strike, fire erupts in a giant explosion. The human watches, never taking his eyes from the scene, while the half-orc covers his eyes at the cacophony of sight and sound of the fiery explosion. When the half-orc opens his eyes, he sees all 12 men dead and unmoving upon the ground. They are badly burned. The half-orc's expression turns into a triumphant grin as he stands up straight, almost as if he grows several inches before the vision fades.
As the vision's fading, I say, that shouldn't have worked. We haven't fixed evocation yet.
Joshua, you see a human wearing a belt made entirely of scraps of fabric that lurks in an alley. A look of tension and worry clearly shows on his face. A book that looks far more expensive than everything else he has on him. He opens the book and begins to trace the designs written on the page. After a minute of doing the same thing over and over again, he stands up and repeats the design, but not in the book, in the air in front of him. He instantly gains age, height, and weight. Utter glee shows on his face as he confidently walks out of the alley as not an urchin, but a noble. Vaguely, you can see the young man walking in the same strides as the older looking before the vision fades. And you guys take 5 points of radiant damage as you are flung to the edge of the clearing.
Tumbling together in this massive rope and I'm gonna struggle to like untie myself and groan under Avtok's weight.
Question.
Yes, sir.
I just thought about. I entered across the threshold to tie the rope around. So does that mean I'm seeing these multiple trees as well?
So if you were in there when this happened, you absolutely would have seen the multiple trees. You two would have to make a intelligence saving throw, intelligence or wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, when you said they were thrown to the edge of the clearing, I'm like, wait a minute. I was in that clearing too. Intelligence saving throw.
Intelligence or wisdom, your choice.
17.
17. Go ahead and roll a d6.
2.
2. What are we up to now? That one. We'll roll a d8.
6 on the d8.
The forest around you seems to just shift. You still appear as if you're in a forest, deep and vibrant. You see a family of satyrs walking down a path. A portal opens behind them. A spectral force rips the female adult into the portal before closing. A young satyr boy with an orange flower in his hair turns towards what you would only assume to be his mother and looks on in horror before the vision fades. And you took 7 points of radiant damage.
Avtalk's getting kind of upset. Are there any sticks or anything just like dead wood laying around? I saw your mouth move, but I didn't hear anything.
No, there are no sticks here. No, this seems to be a rich area of growth and not something that people have traveled recently.
All right, then I'm going to take my quarterstaff and my dagger, and I'm going to take 10 minutes to cast Fabricate and turn it into an axe, and then walk back into the forest or the clearing.
Okay. Over this 10 minutes, do any of you do anything else?
I want to ask a clarifying question, just to make sure I'm understanding what's happening.
For sure.
Are we trying to find the right tree to touch? Are we touching wrong trees? Are we getting caught in illusions? What exactly is happening?
We're trying to make I assume you're trying to make contact to figure out what is actually going on with the tree. But so far, whatever defenses this thing has put up,
Okay.
repelling you before you can properly
So
invest.
we're trying to get through to whatever's happening, and this is just the way in which it's warding us. Okay.
Don't you worry, Ordo. Soon I'll make contact. All right.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I'm quickly looking through my spell book.
If you can find something before I waste a 4th level spell, that'd be great.
What's this close to cast fireball? Just saying.
At least that's only a 3rd level.
I mean, I'm not gonna do it in the vicinity if someone's in there.
So, all right, Avtalk is busy for 10 minutes. What are the rest of you?
For 10 minutes, I'm pondering. Am I gonna cast fireball?
I'll try to go again.
All right.
All right, I'll go with
We're gonna go with Jess.
Justine.
All right. So as Avtalk and Joshua did, they tied themselves together. Are you walking, holding hands? Are you walking separate? You guys.
I think we're holding hands.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Are you going into Joshua?
Oh no, Avtalk and I are just holding hands. I just wanted to clarify that. You said Avtalk and Joshua have tied themselves together. Are you guys holding hands? Are you going in together? What's going on? I wanted to clarify since the question was asked.
Okay.
We're holding hands while Avtalk is casting his spell.
I think my spell is going to take longer than 10 minutes because I keep having to bat his hand away.
I'm trying to help with the somatic components.
All right. So we'll do a D4 for the pair of you. One of you can roll.
Me, Robin.
3.
So you keep your eyes open and you push through a couple illusionary trees, kind of direct your eye before you yet again are able to make contact with this tree. Go ahead and give me a saving throw,
Okay.
both of you.
22.
I'm going to use my inspiration on this one because it was no bueno. $19.
All right. So, Phlox, you see an angelic sigil appear before you, before the barrier pushes you back. Go ahead and roll D6 for me.
6.
All right, roll a D12.
Already. No, I clicked on the wrong thing. I clicked D10 instead of D12, and that is a 10.
So you remember that as a child, you were thinking about what is the path that you should take. And you're walking through town, and you see a temple, and you think, dedicating your life to the gods, become an acolyte. Try to become a cleric. That might be a good path for you. But before the vision fades, that's not the path that you were meant to take. It feels as if you are in this spot. That was not a path that Phlox ever took. Never contemplated the gods, not with any seriousness. And you are thrown back. Take 7 points of radiant damage. Jess, you too see this angelic sigil appear before you. With your will, your intelligence in this particular matter, you see through what's there. You see that each attempt that was made at this tree has slowly been weakening this sigil. There are, at face value, it looks strong, it looks powerful. As you get a closer look, you can see the weakening cracks your companions have done with their presence, and maybe it's the amount of magic that's been expended through repelling them back. Maybe it's through their attempts. But all you have to do is just reach out and it will shatter.
And I do so.
So what does this look like as this angelic sigil shatters around you?
It cracks across the surface like splintering glass in the shape of a spider web.
Nice. So go ahead and roll a d6 for me.
2.
Ooh. Guys, rolled a lot of 1s to 3s. So give me a high-low.
Hi.
As this breaks around you, the final image pops into your mind. Your eyes open for the first time in a bizarre place full of magical and fabricated pieces of metal and loads of alchemical substances. As actual awareness takes hold, panic begins to set in. As knowledge you feel you have no way of possessing springs into your mind. As you look around the room, things you've never seen before, you know what they are. You wrestle to get away. You realize that you're strapped to the table before the vision fades. And you see yourself standing in the center of the clearing, touching the tree. This is odd because with each of the other arcane vessels that you've made contact with, there was an actual sense of the power within. And while you are confident that you've managed to successfully break through the barrier, there is no sense of that vessel.
It's because power is an illusion. Do I see this before I finish casting my spell, or?
So You watch as while you're casting your spell, you see flocks get thrown across the clearing while Chess confidently, stands there, and you watch the barrier pulse. Chess is not thrown back. He stands there confidently, hand pressed upon the tree, and then this look of puzzlement comes across her face.
As I wipe the blood off my brow, I say, if you bang your head against a problem long enough, I guess it solves itself.
Except for the fact that I don't feel anything.
What do you mean you don't feel anything?
It doesn't feel like a power anchor. This feels like nothing.
So there's a ward here protecting nothing,
That
or keeping nothing locked away.
it doesn't seem like they would bother to put it there for nothing. Wait, no. This is illusions. It messes with our senses. There has to be something here. I'm just not seeing it.
When I was launched out of this clearing, I was shown visions, and I get they're all illusions, but, maybe there is a through line. The two that I had were very clearly someone using magic to manipulate another one's actions, and the other was someone using magic to change their form. It seems as though these are potential misuses, someone using magic for self-betterment. We already know from our unicorn conversation, the divine doesn't like people using magic the way they have been. Maybe they're trying to illustrate how corrupt it could become. At this point, I'm a little bit under alcoholed and am not thinking clearly.
But who is trained in perception? Is anyone trained in perception?
This is a low wisdom
Nope.
party.
Nope.
Yay.
I'm not trained in it.
If my spell goes off, I do have one more thing I want to try.
Paul Bunyan it.
You kind of, look around, and while you're having this conversation, you realize, it's been several minutes before what appears like to have increased the volume. Like, you hear it in the background, but none of you were letting it register as subtle laughter. As you look up, about 40 feet up in the trees, sitting on one of the branches, you see that little purple goblin-y creature yet again. And it's laughing.
I bet he is.
Hello there.
I wondered how many times that you were gonna try. It was definitely amusing to watch you guys get flung around like that.
And yet not you.
Quickly, finish your spell.
So I guess my immediate reaction would be to fling my fan, excuse me, Lord.
Sure.
And use fireball before anyone encompasses in the radius.
Sure. So you're gonna fireball them?
Sure.
All right. So you launch a fireball up into the trees, and you watch as the devastating explosion happens, a good 30 to 50 feet in the air, well out of the range of any of your companions. And the laughter proceeds to come from the other side of the clearing, as the goblinish creature is now over there. So we could do this until you're, out of mojo, or we can just talk.
I would like to cast Detect Magic, and then,
Poor use of a spell slot, but it made me feel better.
Seeing the fireball go off, can I stop casting my spell?
Sure. You could have stopped casting your spell whenever you want. I clearly explained that, that chest was not flung from the center.
By all means, let's talk.
So, looks like you figured out that this isn't the spot.
I'm not sure I believe it.
Okay. Well, it's not. I'll tell you that much.
Can I insight?
Sure.
Insight check.
18 total.
Seems genuine.
Okay, this isn't the spot.
So,
Where is?
well, you're not far, but first, I gotta do me. I gotta do what I do. And he kind of reaches into his pouch and he pulls out 5 small little vials and just kind of shakes them in your directions. And you guys kind of can sense that whatever fear you had days ago, it's kind of like emanating from whatever happened when you first appeared here in the Pale Wood. Your ability to fight off whatever fear you guys now have, he's got your resistance to it. Whether it be solitude, buried alive, beard magic, or whatever else, you can sense essentially a part of yourself in his possession.
You shouldn't have that.
But I do.
This is not right.
Jess, is there something about gifts freely given and gifts taken away or taken without consent? I feel like this is breaking some rules.
Stealing back.
I mean, they're not supposed to be able to do that, but there are certain situations with which they can just assume you owe it to them and take it anyway. That's why you don't thank the Fae.
And loopholes.
It almost
we
seems
are-
like at this point he's in our debt, being that he took something that wasn't freely given. We'll kind of like look up at him knowing he's listening.
Well, we did come here uninvited.
Quit helping him, Chess.
There are many rules, many things you might not know. But if you're going to try to go in the direction of the old rules, then perhaps the farce should be over. And you watch as his voice deepens, as his arm begins to step down. And yes, I said arm step down for a reason, because as from 30 feet up, his arm reaches down and it becomes a foreleg, followed by another. And before you know it, a massive dragon takes up the majority of this clearing. It doesn't come in contact with the ground, but a long, sinuous dragon appears, seems to be floating without wings. Same purple as the skin, but this time in scales. Long horns drift off as if they don't ever end, but just kind of go off into something else. This place is mine, and those who wish to do wrong, harm, whatever word you choose to seek, do not know of the nature of this place. For so long, even mortals thought that, and he gestures towards the tree, that this was the center of a type of power. But long before that happened, I became. Most of the time, I do not choose to converse or interact, especially in this guise, in this form, with mortals. But you and your plight seem interesting to me, much more so than the golden one that arrived to consecrate a barrier against the magic. As so often, just existing is dull. I decided to experiment and allow whatever they were doing to happen. I was not aware of its nature until it was done. And truth be told, I was not entirely caring to stop it until the lot of you seemed have it in your minds to be rid of it. And that led me to seek who you are. And now it flings up its hand, its forepaw, still somehow miraculously clutching these 5 little orbs, or these 5 little vials. You watch as he flings them to the ground, the vials, not truly being real, break upon the ground and the glass vanishes as one by one each of these little floating orbs comes back into contact with the rest of you. I have taken something that did not belong to me, but it was a test. And I apologize for doing so.
And Siri just kind of Chess. I'm sorry. I was thinking of a different character. Raises an eyebrow because an apology is a really big deal here. That is tantamount to admission of a debt owed, but she's not going to call him on it.
Sure. Well, you would also know that, at least upon appearances, this is a dragon, not a fae. So the rules don't necessarily apply. But you can choose to do with as you will.
I mean, an apology from a dragon is kind of a big deal, too.
Pretty big, yeah.
So, as far as I'm aware, I am the only living of the vessels that you seek. But I am in fact it. As you yourselves are aware, things are not typically given without anything in return. As I have choice, I can bestow upon any of you, all of you, that which is within my power to do so. But I would ask for something in kind. But as is also right within one such as I am partly attached to the nature of this form, and therefore have what some might refer to as a hoard. I have treasure. It is not quite as meaningful to me as others that share this kind of form. So I offer two things. You can choose one, both, or neither. All I ask, each of you are different. Each of you has something about yourself that stands apart in this world. Should you tell me why you chose to study the diverse type of magic that you study, I will grant you that which I have stated. Or both. It is one and the same to me.
So our traditional schools are our untraditional ones.
Why you, I mean, looking at you, Chess, for instance, why you chose to weave song and dance and magic together.
Ah. Well, I mean, it was the way of things, and being in the middle of the fight in the fray, I can feel the pulse of the battle, and it makes me feel alive like nothing else.
The pulse of the fray, where those that typically are more prone to study books has an appeal to you. That is interesting. Well, as stated, I can offer you, do you wish to accept the power of illusion?
Oh no, I'm rather attached to what I'm studying currently, but thank you.
It would come without cost. You would not sacrifice that which you have, and would not harm you further.
I understand, but I think I'll still pass on that one.
Sure. So what type of thing is of an interest to you that I might offer from my hoard?
Come back to me on that.
What about anyone else?
Avtalk will come forward and say that, well, Avtalk, I mean, I started studying magic because I was smaller and weaker than the other Loxodons in our herd and made fun of. And so I decided to study magic. Once I got into magic, I realized I was also not as skilled at it as the others. So I wanted to find ways to bend the magic to my will and create different effects from others. So I learned how to transmute, for lack of a better word, damage types. And well, I don't know how to actually say it in game terms. I did the scribe thing, okay?
You chose to focus on the manipulation of the sigils within the spells so that it better suits what you're looking to do, even mid-incantation. It is an interesting thought. There are, no offense to you, young Loxodon, there are more scribes than the other choices here, because that is the most, shall we say, normal of schools that are not of the prime eight, because it is within the very nature to be used to writing in tomes. I hope this is not coming across as an insult, as not meant to be such. Just a more commentary on it. So he gestures in the direction of you. And what do you request?
Illusion, please. Although I did roll a 2 for trying to not be offended by it, but let him think I actually wasn't.
Sure. So you watch as the head kind of comes down and he just breathes a purple mist over you. And you can add the illusion subclass to your powers.
Yay.
No saving throw this time.
Nice.
It's a freebie. And are you just taking that, or do you wish something from his horn as well?
I have no need for material things at this time, but thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
Yeah. Phlox will step forward and say, I studied magic because there's beauty in it. The burst and blaze of a fireball, as if a setting sun, the forms polymorph can take. Even the reflection blaze of a counterspell. All of it is beautiful. I study magic because I wanted to harness that beauty.
The pump, the beauty. There is a lot to be said about magic, the majesty of it, if you will. I can certainly see the appeal, make it showy, graceful, and elegant. There is certainly some similarities, as you may or may not have noticed, between what you do and what your friend the Bladesinger does, though in very different ways. The performance of it still comes across the same. So what would you have of me as your boon? Either or both? Neither?
You have something I want and something you stole. I request both of them.
I have already given back what I have stolen.
Oh, sorry. That might have gone over.
Yeah, he threw the glass to the ground. The glass broke and the orbs like all kind of went back to you before he offered his apology and the hey, you want to trade?
So Phlox was paying more attention than Carlos was.
So strike that, rewind.
That would have happened in a different universe. But in this universe, Phlox says, you have something I want. From what I've seen in this land, illusion does have its own beauty to it.
Sure. Well,
Thanks.
we can literally craft that which you want to see, whether it be within you, without you, or next to you. Illusion can do it. And he does as he did to Avtok. And his head bows down, purple mist, and it comes all around you. And You two can add the illusion subclass, information. Joshua, Ordo?
You want to go first, Jacob?
I will bow deeply before this draconic presence. When I was but a child, I was made fun of for my smooth face. My beard did not come in until well after the other dwarven children. But when it did come in, it was more glorious than any of theirs. I vowed to make sure that no other dwarven children should feel the way that I did. I began to study the art of barbery, and with a minor in surgery and dental work side. It was many years I was performing my wonders with other people's beards, and my own, of course, before I realized it was actually magic that I was performing. So I leaned even more in and began to learn how to manipulate the individual hairs of the beard to perform in a certain way, to be able to color them, and even to be able to tap into. And I sort of look over at Avtok, and I lean in towards the dragon, and I say, an entire dimension of beard. And I've never known such joy as making someone feel better themselves through the magic of beardomancy.
That is interesting, but do you not think that cutting a beard would be barbaric? Barbaric.
Hold on a second. I gotta see if Ordo gets this joke. In spite of himself, Ordo,
Orbo?
in spite of himself, Ordo. I see what you did there. Very well, very wonderful.
So, what do you request of me?
Not everyone is blessed with a glorious beard or a lovely mane of hair. And that is a limitation, therefore, in my ability to make them feel better. So I would humbly request access to the power of illusion to enhance others, make them feel special.
And be it. Too, as he did with the others, leans his head down and breathes upon you, and the purple mist takes its way.
I think in that, as the purple mist sort of settles in across and maybe kind of ruffles Ordo's hair, blowing back in the beard a little bit, Ordo almost involuntarily casts a subtle beard spell, and as the mist parts, it seems to cling to his hair and beard, which is now this purple color, the same.
I'll be quiet this more.
So he turns and looks Looks to you, Joshua. Everyone else is.
As everyone else has spoken, Joshua has sort of stood towards the back of the group since the question of why have you learned the magic you've learned has come up, and his whole presence has sort of become very clearly closed off. Like he is looking down, not making eye contact with anyone or the dragon. He's putting both of his hands are resting on the head of his glass staff, kind of pushing the point deeper into the earth than is necessary. And he starts without looking at anyone. There is someone out there that holds the name of my family. Not just holds it, but they have twisted it and changed it in a way that I can't abide. I have been more or less cast out of my home on a pilgrimage of my own to find the power to restore my family to the lives they once had. Naming magic seemed to be the way. But so far I've found myself no closer to helping them than I was the day I left.
It is entirely possible that you are closer than you think. On this journey, it is clear that you have made some formidable allies and have collected a decent amount of power. But you might not have the information you seek. You at least ready yourself for the time that you for the time when you find the information, you will have the ability to act far better than you did at the time that you begun this journey. But thank you for sharing, all of you, a touching and possibly personal choice. Joshua, is there a boon that you would ask of me?
At this, Joshua will look up at the dragon, and there is a kind of gleam of almost greed in his eyes as he says, the power to cast illusions over someone, to shift their perception how you want, to make them see the world as you shape it. What a magnificent and wonderful tool that would be. But alas, I feel that I don't have the wisdom to use it properly. I think I will say no to that blessing. What I would like is the discernment to see through lies and deceptions, to see the world as it truly is, to see threats that are all around me, and to be able to make the proper choice to protect those that I care about.
Well, I do not believe that there is a single item that is going to do that with utmost certainty, but there is indeed an item that possess and truly have no need of that I can grant to you, if at all possible, should you no longer need it. If you have none to pass it down to, you could return it, but it is not a compulsion. I'm not demanding that you do. Just bring it back here when you no longer need it, regardless of how many generations that will be. And he breathes a purple mist, not on you, but next to you. And a purple robe lies crumpled on the ground, and all around, even in the crumpled fabric, You can see these eyes ever so often blinking, looking in all directions as he's giving you a robe of eyes.
We'll pick it up and put it on and clasp it, and then give him a nod and say, or a slight bow, and thank you for this gift.
I know what I want to ask for now.
Sure.
Have a robe of eyes.
I would ask that you would go forth and call me friend from here on out.
I cannot recall if I have ever had anyone wish to call me friend.
Well, I do.
Done. Then, as a friend, before you depart from this place, I must inform you that not all is as it seems within your party. It appears, and he just kind of like sweeps to take all of you in, that there is a traitor amongst your midst. And that's where we're going to end tonight.
What?
Damn it!
Is it me? It's me, isn't it? You would tell me if it was me, wouldn't you?
We'll have to wait and find out what's going to happen next time.
Oh my god, we're all so sus though.
Plot twist.
Who ventured?
Now
Who
we
ventured?
have between now and next session to kind of figure out exactly what that's going to be like and what's going to get done. And oh my. So
Work this game of Among Us.
Someone ventured.
Oh my gosh.
So we'll pause this conversation right at this spot, and you'll have to come back next time and see exactly, how this all plays out. Because yeah. But I had a lot of fun with this. You guys got to see into some people's memories that or have met or each other's, whether they're real or fictitious, who knows? There were some cool story clues, and one of you's a traitor. Oops. So with that, we'll figure out, after here, when our next session is. You can come back next Monday and do the usual hangout with, it's going to be Doug and myself. We're going to talk about transformation, and who knows, maybe we'll talk about some of the transformations that happened here. You can join us on Tuesday night as we play session 3. Robin and I will be back along with, Dave, Doug, and Steven for episode 3 of Zoom Mafia. We're having a wild time with that one. Absolutely, pun intended, because, it's Ted. All of my puns are intended. So until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.
Hey, nerdy.
Stay nerdy.